Well, good evening, everyone. This is Keith with Positively Osceola, and we get to speak to a wonderful amount of great folks that are doing great things in the community, and but none more fun and none more spirited and none more caring than the group of folks that we're going to get to talk to tonight. So we'll keep it casual for a little bit while people figure out that we're here. How you guys all doing?
Great.
Good.
Excellent.
Cool.
Thank you for asking.
Cool. The cool thing is we had absolutely no technology issues whatsoever tonight, right?
It's early.
So true.
Yeah, don't say it. Well, a little coffee for all that.
Salute.
I'm
Too late
telling
for
you.
coffee.
Sunday.
Too
Is
late
it?
for coffee.
Little
yeah.
vino.
There
Vino
you
is
go.
right.
As I sent the email, your beverage of choice is your choice. It's all good. Well, I'm glad you guys are all here, and happy Thursday to all of you.
Happy Thursday to you.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll keep talking a little bit. So everybody, are you folks that enjoy early voting or mail voting, or are you the wait to the absolute election day preference?
I voted Monday.
Yes, so did I.
We voted Monday too, so
Election day.
Yeah,
waited an hour and a half.
did you really?
Yeah,
Wow.
Oh, geez.
I
So
was
you
there
went
40
physically.
Physically, yes.
minutes. It took us 40 minutes, so that was longer than I thought it would take.
Sure.
I voted every opportunity I get.
Vote early and vote often.
That's
Yeah.
right, Chicago.
There you go. Well,
I heard. Go ahead.
Well, let's go ahead and make it official. We'll kickstart this thing, and then we'll have some fun talking to you guys. Here we go. Well, again, thank you for joining us tonight, and very special night. If you follow Positively Osceola, we do 3 or 4 live shows per day, starting off at 7:30 in the morning, and of course we finish out starting at 6:30 typically. 5:30 is what we'll end up in about 3 weeks when the time change hits. But in the summertime, we were doing later shows because it felt so early with the sun, but now we're all getting home. It's almost dark. So we are here with the sons and daughters of Italy in America. So welcome. I'm glad you guys are joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So if I attempt last names, I'm going to get myself in trouble, but I may go for it. It is what it is. So we do look like the Brady Bunch a little tonight. Let's see. That way, to my right is the always awesome Carolyn Cianciata. How are you, ma'am?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you doing?
Always great. And
Good.
Edmondo, to her, what looks to be all right. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having us.
Glad to have you here. And of course, down beneath me, which I think in Brady Bunch, that would be Peter, but he's not quite in the middle. That would be Dan Longo. How are you, sir?
I'm wonderful, Keith. Thank you.
Thanks for coming. We're honored to have you. And then Mark D'Annunzio. How are you, sir?
Good pronunciation. Right on.
Gave it a shot. I'm from Syracuse, New York, so pretty much everybody's
Italians.
I'm from Rockland County. So
No kidding. So that's a beautiful place to be from. And Nick Cantor, correct?
You've got it. Thank you very much.
Glad to have you guys here. So I guess, Carolyn, let's just go ahead and ask you to kind of kick it off. Explain, if somebody's not aware or have never engaged with the Sons and Daughters of Italy in America, why don't you tell us a little bit about the organization, and then let's go ahead and go person to person tonight, and explain where they hail from and their representation in the organization.
Okay. The Order, Sons and Daughters of Italy, is a fraternal organization. Our main goal is to raise money for charities. That's what we do. We hold social functions, and we raise money to give away. So some of our charities are autism, Cooley's anemia, Alzheimer's. Of course, we give out scholarships, and we give out scholarships locally. So we're in Osceola County. Our lodge is in Osceola County, so we give out Osceola County scholarships to Osceola seniors. We do Help Now. We give out Thanksgiving dinners for all the people in the Help Now organization. And we do Christmas at the local nursing home. Santa comes in. So our main goal is to raise the money for charities. We do Wreaths Across America at Christmas time and on Veterans Day. And these are some of the things we do. And we raise that money from our friends, not only our family, not only our members, but many, many friends that come to our functions and support our lodge. So that's basically what we do.
Wonderful. And so maybe we should just introduce across the line. Why don't you go ahead and introduce Edmondo?
This is Edmondo. Edmondo is in the Sergeant Bonanno Lodge in Boca Raton, Florida. So and we gave you a variety of lodges so that you know that they're all across the United States. So and Edmondo is in Boca Raton. So Edmondo, tell them a little bit about yourself.
Well, I was born and raised in. I was born and raised in South Philadelphia. My parents were first generation. They came over on the boat in their teen years, and they grew up. My father served in World War II. I was born in the mid 40s, and had a great family life. We had all the cultures as a Sicilian family, and it was just a great time, and grew up over the years, got into book publishing, and then retired, came down to Florida with my wife, Angie, and we wanted to meet Italian type people, and we joined the Bonanno Lodge, and it was one of the best things that we've done. I was past president for 4 years. I'm now a state trustee of the Grand Lodge. The people are great. We have great times. It's a real social atmosphere, and we just keep talking about our culture, tradition, language, and we've got to keep it going for the next generation.
Well said. You know, we'll probably talk about this once we've talked to everyone, but certainly one of the challenges that is taking place in all organizations that are typically multi-generational as yours is the current pandemic. Certainly it's making it challenging for people to meet and do what the core of what your organization's wrapped around. But we'll talk about that a little bit. So would you like to introduce Mr. Longo?
I would love to. Dan is our past national president, and he's going to tell you that he's from Maryland, and that's where his lodge is. And he was the most wonderful president, and we enjoyed when he was there. And he'll tell you a little bit about himself. Go ahead, Dan.
Awesome.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for the invitation. Again, my name is Dan Longo. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. I live just outside of Baltimore. Been here all my life. Graduate of the University of Maryland. Go Terrapins. Been a member of the Sons of Italy since 1978. I come from a small Italian family. My mother and father are both from Sicily. My grandparents are both from Sicily. Mom is still going strong at 98 years old, growing up in the house that I grew up in. Age just hasn't seemed to be catching up with her, which is a good thing. Still goes to the Sons of Italy meetings. I had the privilege of being the national president of the Order Sons of Italy in America for 2 years. We did some really great things. And as Carolyn said earlier, we are a fraternal organization, but there's two other parts of the organization that bear some explanation. The other two parts of our grassroots organization is called the Sons of Italy Foundation, which is purely and 100% philanthropic. We raise money, as Carolyn said, for a number of charities, both nationally and internationally and locally. A lot of our grand lodges and subordinate lodges throughout the United States raise funds for their local fire departments, their food pantries, and that kind of thing. The other arm of the Sons of Italy is the Commission for Social Justice. That's our anti-defamation league. As I'm sure history will tell you, the Italians were not held in good stead during the Great Migration of the 1900s. So this part of the Sons of Italy was formed to guard against bigotry and hatred of the Italian and Italian American people. So we have three parts of the organization that we're very, very proud of. Even though I come from a small Italian family, my family is 30,000 members of the Sons of Italy, and I am so pleased to continue to be a member every day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Excellent. Should we move beneath you there to Mr. Mark?
Yes, this is Mark D'Annunzio. Mark D'Annunzio is from Pensacola, Florida, and he is our state orator. Every one of these gentlemen have official titles, so he is our state orator. So go ahead, Mr. Mark.
Thank you. Yes, my title is orator, and I also hold a position on the Sons of Italy Foundation. I came into the order in 2006. I was a charter member of the lodge here in Pensacola. I had a career in the Navy as a dental officer in the Navy, and then I transitioned after I retired after a 20-year career in the Navy, transitioned to private practice in Pensacola. You hear a little bit of noise in the background. They're doing repairs on my house from Hurricane Sally. It really affected the Pensacola beach, hit very close to here. So it's late, but the workers are still here buttoning up the outside doors. My perspective on the order is the mission is to preserve and promote Italian culture and heritage in the United States. And I am also a co-chair of the National Membership Commission. And one of the highlights of this past term is that we started a lodge in Rome, Italy, the first lodge outside the continental United States. So that was a major accomplishment, and it gives us credibility in the Italian American organizations. There are many organizations that we interact with, Italian American organizations, and we partner with them for things like protecting and preserving Columbus Day and Columbus statues. That, again, as Dan said, is part of the job of the Commission for Social Justice. I don't want to get into that too much, but I came in at the insistence of a retired Dental Corps admiral who I had relatives visiting from Italy. It was their first visit to the United States. So they came over for my aunt's 100th birthday party in 2006, and we did a 3-week trip from New Jersey all the way down south and then over to New Orleans. And it's interesting because they found New Orleans very close to European, because it's kind of a cosmopolitan city. Right. It's probably one of the few cities in the United States that has that European flavor, but they felt right at home there. But they had a great trip, and they were supposed to go back on a Friday, and the Wednesday before I had a party for them with friends of mine, and this retired Dental Corps admiral came in and said, "No, you have to come to this meeting for the Sons of Italy. We're starting a lodge. You have to come on Thursday." I said, "Carmen, my relatives are going back Friday. They need a full night's rest, and I don't." He was insistent, and he said, "You have to come." So we ended up going. My relatives, who spoke no English, and for a 2-hour over that organizational meeting. But fortunately, we had people there in attendance that spoke Italian. So they smiled and were talking to them, had a great time. And that was my introduction to the Sons of Italy. And at that time, I felt very close to my heritage because we found these relatives only the year before, and nobody from our family had been to the town that my grandparents met and were married in. The last person was a second cousin to my father who was there during World War II. So it had literally been 60 years that anybody had set foot there. And we found them by serendipity. We didn't go there with the intention of finding them. We went there with the intention of finding the church that they were married in. And one thing led to another, and out popped I guess he would be a second cousin to me. And, we compared notes, and I showed him a wedding certificate that showed that my grandmother and his father were brother and sister. And it took a little while for it to sink in. But after that, we were family. And then they brought us to their house, which happened to be the DeAngelis family house that my grandmother grew up in. And I go back there every 2 years. So I'm very close to my heritage. And there was a gentleman in town who traced the DeAngelis family back 8 or 10 generations to the 1700s. And that's, I cherish that part of the family tree. It just, when I found this information out, I just felt validated for some reason. Like you feel like you're home. I can't explain it, but it was a very powerful feeling. And thankfully, my sons were there and my wife was there with me, and they felt a part of this. So, as I said, I go back every 2 years. Well, I had to put off this year because of COVID, and I'm always welcome with very warmly, and it's just a great trip.
So, Mark, let's just stay on that for a second. So it must be affecting, and this might be seemingly too redundant at this point to talk about, but it's got to be challenging, though, with COVID, because obviously everybody, and Nick, we're certainly going to talk to you in a second, but everybody we're talking to here, you're all, it's in a core of who you are. And with the COVID-19 scenario going on, you're not able to address everything like you really would. And it's a missing part of who you guys are. So, Mark, how are you getting past all that?
Well, there's actually a silver lining to this, because I alluded to it during the pre-interview, the meeting. We discovered our national first vice president, Bob Bianchi, discovered Zoom, and he was touting that. And we very early in the pandemic went to that as a means of communication. And as an offshoot to that, we started doing interviews. And it was initially, our first interview was with our corporate, or corporate accountant for the order, Jeff Drake, as a means of informing people about the CARES Act. That was the first interview that we did to help our members cope with this pandemic. And then it blossomed from there. And we started getting people like Joe Mantegna, then the best-selling author Adriana Trigiani. And we had 13 people interviews over 13 weeks for season 1, and it had 180,000 views on Facebook. Now we're into season 2, and we've changed the time to an evening time, and we're even garnering more of a viewership. So we had the first guest for season 2 was Dina Martin, who is Dean Martin's daughter. And as I told you at the pre-meeting, I interviewed Doug Flutie yesterday because we have a partnership with his foundation, the Doug Flutie Jr. Foundation for Autism. So that's our connection with him. Had a great interview that was on Facebook Live, and it was such an honor to be able to interview him. He and his wife, Lori, it was an very easy interview. They're very laid back, unpretentious people. Things just flowed. So there is a silver lining in every cloud, and we're capitalizing on that and leveraging that Zoom. We've had a plenary meeting, which is a meeting of our Supreme Council via Zoom, and our president, Nancy DeFiore-Quinn, did a great job of overseeing the meeting, and was very productive. And people didn't have to fly in and drive in and whatnot. We got to, it's obviously Zoom is not as nice as being there in person, but to me, it's the next best alternative.
It is, and I agree with you. We certainly are going to pull some positives. I think that's what I think we all as Americans do. We figure out how to make things work, and take what we like after that and try to make it part of how we move forward. So, Nick, bet you thought we forgot about you over there, huh?
This is very difficult following these great people. I've got a challenge in front of me.
The pressure is on, man.
Yeah, it is. Well, my life started in New Jersey many, many years ago. And I grew up in an Italian family. But what was interesting is my dad was full Italian from Naples, Italy, both his father and his mother. But it was the first generation that crossed over into another culture. My father married my mother, who was pure Irish. And that is very, very, today it's very acceptable. Back then it was almost taboo, but he did. And what we came to realize is that those two cultures have a lot in common. And the core of it is the family, the history, the culture, and that's what we grew up around. And it was a very pleasurable period in my time when we had family and Sunday dinners, and the father was the focal point, and the mother was in charge of the family, and that's changed a little over time. And unfortunately, I'm not sure we can turn the clock back. So we're going to have to move forward and deal with what's in front of us, which is different. When I came to Florida, I was down here I've been down here for about 30 plus years. And then my family, my mother and father eventually followed me down, and my brother followed me down, and my sister followed me down. And my father kept insisting that I, somehow get involved with some Italian organization. But I was too busy working. I spent many years in mortgage banking, and then followed that with financial planning. So I really didn't have a lot of time. At least I didn't think so. But I promised him I would do that, and I did. And when I moved to Boca Raton, Florida, I found the Sergeant Bonanno Lodge, which I am a part of. I've served there as a president, and now as a trustee for that lodge. And through the years, I felt that I needed to contribute more to the organization, because I felt it was an organization that was on track to integrate and work with the Italian people and the culture. But it was finding it difficult, because people that were moving here were transplanted from other states, and like you said, the culture from generation was not carried on. So it's been a challenge to be able to work with the children and the grandchildren. So our goals are very esteemed, and it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of effort. And I think Mark mentioned it. We're going to have to understand the language that they speak, and in terms of how they communicate with each other, whether it's through Zoom or the internet. And we've done a good job in assimilating to that. And I think we were on that course before the pandemic came. It's just accelerated it. And that's okay, because that's a direction that we needed to go into for our organization, I believe, to continue on growing. We spend a lot of time, we focus on Palm Beach County because as I mentioned earlier, our lodge is in Boca Raton, and we spend a lot of time with the high schools in our area, both the Catholic high schools and the public high schools, in the sense that we offer scholarships. We participate in the food banks, and we're very instrumental in working with the Italian consulate, which is out of Miami, to promote the Italian language in the high schools, because we've gotten away from that. Italian used to be the second language in the high schools in Florida. Now I'm not sure it's even on the curriculum anymore because the interests have faded through the years. So it's our responsibility as part of continuing our culture and our habit and the things that we believe in as our core, to try to reestablish those, and that's what we've been doing. So we've got a lot of members. The membership, of course, because of the pandemic, has been affected. But as Mark has said, we've crossed over into technology world, and whether it's Facebook or Zoom. We're promoting our lodges to set up websites to be able to communicate with our membership, because as they get a little bit older, they're not as mobile. And then the newer generation, that's how they want to communicate. So it's quite a challenge, but I think we're up for that. And what we're basically doing, that's on our lodge level, and we're doing that at the state level and the national level. So it's all integrated, and it's all very positive. So thank you.
Well, I think we spoke about this, certainly Carolyn was part of that. We've had conversations prior where, what we see is most organizations that have been around for as long as your organization has certainly a focus on a multi-generational path. There isn't any question about it. I mean, you believe at the core of who you are in your organization. So, you want that to be passed down to the next generation, and so, or two generations even. And so you're looking at a generation. This is, like I said, this is across the board. We see that we speak to a lot of organizations. So we see it, that there's the benefit of an increase in technology use, and the end user is where it gets the nod of whether it's viable or not, right? So, obviously with the pandemic, everything was sped up, as you all have said, and so now you're in a playing field with a couple generations that, along with the ease and the efficiency of technology, unfortunately comes the distraction of technology, right? So it's a big, huge win with a little caveat on the side that it's going at 150 miles an hour. And that's just a normal day for somebody who might be in their 20s or 30s. So, my hat's off to you guys, because, you realize it. And like I said, we see it all the time. And the other thing I had mentioned before in previous discussions is, I love hearing talks like Mark had mentioned. I know all of you have certainly referred to it, which is the foundation. When you see organizations such as yourselves concerned with the causes that exist in the culture that we all live in, that's where I see success in multi-generational paths for organizations, because you care about where you live. You're not trying to be an island amongst yourselves. You're trying to say, look, and a lot of us have moved from other areas and now live in a place which we call home, and we want that to be a good place. So my hat's again off to you guys for all that you're doing. Let's, I guess, maybe turn it back over to Carolyn. I on my notebook I wrote Doug Flutie, so we're not leaving this conversation before we get into the Doug Flutie thing here. But Carolyn, if you'd like to, let's talk about, maybe I love when you talk about how you joined and how you became part of this organization, and then maybe let's make sure we don't leave this discussion, and we don't have a time limit. Let's make sure we don't leave this discussion without letting people know that it's important for people to reach out to you and to consider joining your organization?
Absolutely. Well, when I joined, it was just very strange because it's 35 years now, almost 36 that I'm in the order, and we had moved down from Long Island, New York. I'm from Philadelphia originally, and Tony's boss at the time, he was a nice Italian gentleman, and he said, the Orlando Lodge is having a membership drive. Let's go to the membership drive. Let's all join the Sons of Italy. So, okay, so we went to the membership drive, and it was great. We had a great time. Tony and I joined. The boss never did. So 35 years later, now he wants to join, but I mean, he can. It'd be wonderful if he did. But, you know, we never understood why he didn't join that day, because we were so happy with the Orlando Lodge at that time. And we really enjoyed it. And of course, you know my story, because 35 years later, I went up the ranks and I became the state president of Florida, which was, I tell my kids, do not get married when I have to go to a meeting. Do not have a big function when I have to go to a meeting, because I will not be there. So we were down in the Key West one year, the beginning of September. My daughter got married on the next week. I had to go from Key West. She was up in Maine, got married up in Maine. But I said to her, don't get married the week I'm in Key West, because I have to be at the meeting. And I mean, and that's how I've always felt about it. So I did 4 years as the state president in Florida. And at the end of that 4 years, my husband said, well, now it's time. Let's just call it quits. We'll leave now. You did everything you wanted to do. I'm like, what? These are my family. These are my friends. 35 years of friendships. I am not going anywhere at this point. So you better find something to do with the Sons of Italy that'll keep you busy, because I'm staying in there. So now he's the state president. I talked him into that. And so that was the end of that conversation. We will never leave the Sons of Italy, ever. To take me out when I go. And so, you know, it's just part of, it's a tremendous part of my life. It's a tremendous part of my kids' life. And that's the way it is, you know. My little granddaughter, she'll be calling later on, and she'll say, buonanotte, Nonna. I say, buonanotte, Lucia. Good night, Grandma. And so, and she's been to a couple of meetings. She's been up to the Washington when we went to National Mark. I think you met her, Dan, you met her. We were all in Washington, and she just gets down in there and chats with everybody. So she's a lot of fun, and it's good because she knows her heritage. You know, she knows where her mom came from, and where her Nona came from, and my family's from Abruzzi, Italy, so which is east of Rome. So we know our heritage, and that's what we want to keep. So that's my story. And it's my story, and I'm sticking to it, and I'm sticking with them. I like to think they wouldn't be able to do without me. I think Edmondo feels that way, right, Edmondo?
I absolutely do.
When I was president, Edmondo was my biggest supporter. He was like, yes, you can do this. So now let's talk about Doug Flutie, because that is one of our charities too.
We should talk about that. I want to interrupt real quick though before we do that. You know, I think if somebody was, you know, somebody listening to this conversation, I got to tell you what I think. I think that this is the beauty of what America is. That cultures come together and hold on to their, you know, with great pride and love and passion. You know, at the core of who they are, they love their culture, and that melds in with all what America is. And I remember my wife and I, we have just a plethora of friends, and we often would get in our car on the way home and say, you know, that family just brings so much to who we are, you know. And I think that's the truth, right? I mean, I can't even imagine an America without the blend of people that we have. I would not know how to comprehend that. And I think that's the challenge that we all have, to try to explain that to the younger generations, because they don't see that in the same way that we probably all do, you know. And I think that's our responsibility, you know, to try to pass that on. So So I appreciate what you guys are doing and what you're saying tonight. So who wants to talk about Doug Flutie?
Well, why don't I start since you prompted me to do it? Doug Flutie, as I had indicated, the quarterback coach of the Boston College team was lived on our street, and he was the quarterback coach for Doug Flutie in a few years, and last year in particular. The one particular game that I like to talk about is that we went to the game, and then the coach took us down to the locker room. I had my two boys, I think they were 8 and 10, and two other boys from the neighborhood where Coach Carmichael lived. And basically, we were brought into the locker room, and Doug was surrounded by a lot of reporters and talking and interviewing. And we walked in, and the kids went up to Doug, and he stopped talking to the reporters and basically sat down and spoke with the kids and talked to them about what they're doing, their goals, and everything. He was a really into children, and he hasn't changed from what I know from that. But it was a great opportunity for them. What was his name? Paterno, Joe Paterno walked in, who was playing Penn State at the time, and Doug had whipped their butts, and he came in, and I was thrilled to see Joe Paterno because I was a South Philly kid and always loved Penn State. So I got to see Doug Flutie and talk to him and talk to Joe Paterno at the same time. So it was a great time. But Doug is kids oriented, and it's unfortunate, but in one way that he has the issue. We have our president right now, Joan D'Amato, whose grandson is autistic as well, and she's very active in all of that. So it's important that these associations grow and thrive, and I'm proud that we're supporting the Autism Foundation as well. So.
Right. Well, that's something I would certainly never be. I would never let go of many conversations you have. I applaud you guys. That's a huge issue, and I don't know why, but it seems to be an increasing scenario that we see out there. So that's not waning. And if I'm correct, Doug's child is autistic of some degree.
Yes,
right?
he is autistic. Yeah.
Doug, yeah, the foundation.
Doug Jr., they call him Dougie. He's 28 years old now. He and his wife founded the foundation 22 years ago when Dougie was 6. Yeah. He said he got the idea. He was speaking to Jim Kelly, whose son was afflicted with some rare disease, and he asked Jim Kelly, for advice on how to set up the foundation, and he mentioned that during the pre-interview last night. I believe that Jim Kelly's son has since passed.
Right.
And
yes.
And there are varying degrees of autism. With some that they can function on their own later in life, and there are those other degrees that they need constant care and attention. And we see that with our president's grandson, that he's going to be in need of constant attention for the rest of his life, most likely.
Yeah, same thing with Doug Jr.
Yeah.
So. Well, one of the reasons why Doug Flutie was is somebody that I heard you when you mentioned his name, I picked up on, because I'm from the upstate New York. I was born in Buffalo, so Doug was obviously a big part of that. And so, if I'm right, I think he ended up in Washington Generals during the USFL. I think, right?
Yeah, the New
Jersey General.
And I asked him last night. I said, "So you played for the Generals?" I said, "Does that mean that your paycheck was signed by Donald Trump?" He said, "Yep."
That's right.
At the
time,
a
brief period of time.
Right. At the time in 1985, when he signed a 5-year deal for $7 million. He was the highest paid player at that time and the highest paid rookie in any sport.
So let me ask Keith something. Keith, ask Dan Longo approximately how much we gave last year to the the national gave to the to autism. Do you remember, Dan, how much the national gave to autism last year?
I don't recall off the top of my head.
Approximately. What do we normally give?
Each year between 85 and 125,000.
Wow.
So it's pretty good. I mean,
Very good.
you know, they're one of three of our main charities.
That's right.
Well, let's talk about the other two a little bit so people understand.
Tell them about Alzheimer's, Dan.
Well, Alzheimer's has been one of our charities for a number of years. As our membership population has begun the aging process, I can probably safely say that each one of the members' lives have been touched by, unfortunately, a member of their family or friends that have been stricken with Alzheimer's. It's one of the important things to remember is you'll never die of Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's causes a lot of other things to occur, and that's what the passing of an Alzheimer patient is aimed towards. The other one, Cooley's anemia, and I'm being born and raised and have always lived here in Maryland, except for a short period of time. I went to the University of Chicago in Illinois for college. I was fortunate enough to learn firsthand from the two doctors that began the Cooley's anemia research project at Johns Hopkins University. Cooley's anemia is a disease that attacks Mediterranean children, as does Tay-Sachs disease, the Jewish population, and sickle cell anemia for the African American population. So that has been a charity of ours since probably the 50s, if we go back that far, with that particular charity. And we've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we are in a position now to probably say that we're very close to not a cure, but a drug and treatment that will carry these kids into their adulthood. Before, it was lucky, you were very lucky if you were a parent that had a Cooley's anemia child to live past the age of 15. One of the individuals that is a Cooley's anemia, has Cooley's anemia, is now 47 years old. That is a big step forward, all because of the research of the Cooley's Anemia Foundation. So we do a lot of good work, a lot of work that we're extremely proud of.
Well said. Glad you shared that. So, and I would, I guess maybe we're getting a little getting up in the time here. So, I appreciate you sharing what you've done, and certainly referencing Doug Flutie. I can tell you, Jim Kelly and Doug Flutie will never be forgotten in the Buffalo area, because they decided to do what not everyone does, which is they sowed their hearts into the community they live in and worked in, and that's what you guys are doing as well. So we thank you. So Carolyn, anything you'd like to say as we kind of get towards that time of the evening?
Well, I just would like everybody to come and join our Sons of Italy. You don't have to be an Italian to join, and we have social membership also. All you have to do is love everything Italian, love Italian food, love Italian music and art, and come and sit through a meeting, or come and join us when once it gets open again. It'll be pretty soon, hopefully. Mm-hmm. But I would just love to see everybody be part of us. And join with us. So that's what I have to say.
Well, let's go around the room and let's do the same invite, everybody. How about you, Edmondo?
Sure thing. A couple of things I'd like to bring up that I heard today, especially where Mark is concerned with his family, that he goes back every 2 years, and when he met him for the first time, he could have had a drop of blood inside him, but they would have welcomed him in like he was a first-generation relative. And I had that same treatment when my mother passed away in '98. I've been going back for 20 years. These last 2 years have been a killer. I'm just trying to go back right now. And I have met the family. So when I called them and told them my mother passed away, they wrote back and told me that her cousin was dying at the same time. We kept in touch. They invited me over. I didn't speak a word of Italian, but they took me into their homes. My aunt gave me her bedroom for the 2 weeks that I stayed there, and I had cousins showing me around everywhere and meeting all my other family from both sides, my mother and father's side. Since then, it's been the most. Every time I go back, it's like going back to paradise. I think it's just wonderful. And I also found that my sister, she gave me some files that she had long lost, and in them were some naturalization papers and other things, plus 2 cards, one for my grandfather for the Sons of Italy membership in South Philadelphia, and also for my father. I found both of those cards, which I have now and treasure it. And I just encourage all the young kids if we could get our nieces, nephews, sons, and daughters to participate. Mine are all in Massachusetts. I started in Massachusetts in 2 years in 2002, I think it was. And as a mentor, I drove a World War II fighter pilot back and forth because he was joined in 1944 and he couldn't drive anymore, so I would take him, and that was my introduction. So again, when we came down to Florida, it was the first place I looked to find Italians and everybody that are like-minded. And we are active as a Banana Lodge. We're participants with the FAU. Just recently, I put in the newsletter that Boca Raton High School had brought in a new teacher from Italy to teach Italian, beginning, intermediate, and advanced. So that's a good start, and that hopefully that continues in Boca Raton. We got to keep the language alive. It's important. The culture more so. Our traditions and heritage are equally as important. So,
well said. Thank you, Dan.
Well, if we have time, I got a quick story to tell you.
Go for it.
In 2015, I was elected national president, and it was a big deal. You know, there have only been 2 national presidents that were elected from the great state of Maryland, and I was the second one. My first week as the national president, my phone rings at home, and I get a call from this gentleman who I do not know, saying, "Dan, I'm in a jam. I need your help." So I said, "Who is this?" And he told me his name, and I said, "Well, what do you need? Tell me what you need." Well, his daughter had been accepted to Liberty University in Virginia. And that would be the first time the youngest daughter would have been away from home. Well, he was panic stricken. He says, "I don't know what to do." And I said, "Frank, I'll take care of it. I'll call you back." So I picked up the phone after I hung up with him, and I called the state president of the Grand Lodge of Virginia. And I said, "Bob, we have a situation I need your help with." And I told him about the guy's youngest daughter going to the university. He said, "Dan, he's got nothing to worry about. I'm 30 minutes from the college. I'll take care of it." Well, when I called Frank back in the Midwest and I told him what was going on, he was so relieved. And that's the level of trust that's built up in the membership of the Sons of Italy. We trust each other, especially when it comes to our families. You know, we're dying out as a population, but hopefully we're growing as an ethnic group. So, you know, we try and take care of each other and each other's family. I mean, Sunday dinners can be wild. I will admit that. But when the chips are down and you need help, who's the first person that you go to? You go to your paisan. This has been great. Thank you so much, Keith. You've done a great job.
It's an honor. Mark, you're up.
Okay. Now, anybody who's interested in joining, I think the first step, if they want to become, there's different memberships, as Carolyn alluded to. You can join a local lodge, and if you're in, if you're in anywhere in the United States, I would say you just Google Sons of Italy and then the town that you're in, and try to find a local lodge. Now we have a lot of there's 400 local lodges across the United States, but there are states that don't have any local lodges. So as an alternative, we have what's called an at-large membership. You're a digital member. You get all the benefits of a regular member, all the discounts and all the literature, the magazine, which is a world-class magazine, critically acclaimed 4 times a year. It's called Italian America, and the editor is Miles Fisher and does a phenomenal job. That magazine, when we do surveys, always is 4.5 to 4.8 stars out of 5. It's really loved. So they get the magazine, they get a monthly digital newsletter, Questo Mese. Questo means this month, Questo Mese, and it tells them all the things going on in the Sons of Italy during that month, and the projects and the events. And then they, as I said, they get the discounts to the various Office Depot and the language and the heritage, the genealogy searches. So they can participate and feel like they're part of the group. And just recently we held our first at-large members Zoom meeting. We have about 1,500 at-large members, and we invited all of them to said, get on a Zoom call. We want to hear from you. And it was the first time that we had done that as a group, because prior to April, who knew of this year, who knew or cared what Zoom was?
Right.
It was not needed. But now that we used it, we're finding different venues and different ways to utilize it. So you can go to the national website, osia.org, and it's flashing across the screen. And you just go to the membership tab up on the homepage, the front of the homepage, and just go to become a member, and you $35, become an at-large member, and you can participate. You can participate digitally. Now, if you want to become, if you have a local lodge in your area and that you look up, it invariably will either have a Facebook page or a website, and it'll tell you when and where the meetings are. Just show up and say, I want to become a member. And as Carolyn said, you don't have to be Italian. If you have one red blood cell, that's Italian. That counts. I tell the story of the woman in my lodge who, we didn't have a secretary, Barbara. She said, I'll volunteer to be secretary. That's the hard recording secretary. People said, well, she's not, she said, I'm not Italian, I'm German. And so we said, well, we need a secretary. You'll be the acting secretary. You don't be officially an officer, because you have to be Italian to be an officer in any lodge, local, grand, or supreme. So somebody suggested, Barbara, well, why don't you take a DNA test and see what happens? So, okay, she did. The next meeting, she came in and she was beaming. She goes, Mark, I'm 9% Italian. I said, guess what? We're making you're a regular member, and you're going to be the official. You're recording secretary, and it's official. And she was so happy. It was a remarkable story. So I would just say those are the opportunities for membership, and please check us out. Check out our website and see what we're all about. And I think if you have a regular lodge, they'll welcome you with open arms.
I would imagine that young lady's volunteership responsibilities raised exponentially from that point on.
Yes, absolutely.
Volunteers are good.
You know it. Well, Nick, you got the anchor seat, man. It's up to you.
Okay, man. Well, you've heard about all the great work that we do around the country. the foundation work, all the organizations that we support. And it requires a lot of work. And behind the scenes, a lot of things go on that make these things happen. And it's a lot of people that are dedicated to this organization, because that's what you need. No one gets paid. Everybody is a volunteer. And it's important that we recognize that we strongly believe in what we do. But I'm going to digress for just 1 second, because I'm going to focus on Florida, since it is Osceola, positively Osceola. On May 1st of 2014, our organization was instrumental in passing to the Florida Senate a resolution that made October Italian Heritage Month. And through the efforts of one of our past state presidents, Edmondo, and Senator Maria Sachs, this resolution was passed. And I just want to read you just quickly what's in the resolution, not all of it, because it really depicts who we are and what we're all about. It talks about, whereas Italian and Italian American Heritage Month is an appropriate time to recognize the enormous contributions that the Italian and the Italian American people have made to this country and the world throughout our history as generals, admirals, philosophers, statesmen, musicians, athletes, Nobel Prize winning scientists. Whereas Italian and Italian American Heritage Month is held to salute the Italian and Italian American community and to exhibit appreciation for the culture and heritage and have immeasurably enriched the lives of people in this nation and of this state. That says it all. That's what we're about. Helping ourselves, helping other people, contributing, caring, loving, embracing, and especially in this time where we have a lot of disorientation and people frustrated, and you're seeing a lot of intensity out there and disrespect, I think, for our history. I think the Italian people are rising to the occasion, and Don Longo talked about our CSJ, or Committee for Social Justice, and it's out there because if we don't try to represent who we are, then people are going to forget it, and they're going to disrupt it. And we're not here to disrupt anybody else's culture. We're here to work with everybody. It's, as you said, we're a melting pot here in this country, and all we want to do is bring people together. And if they want to enjoy our culture, we're here to share it with them and bring it out and talk to them about who we are. That's it.
Well, that Nick, you nailed the old anchor seat over there, man.
I don't know about that.
You did. I tell you that sums it up very well, and I think that is the beauty of America. I think it is up to us to make sure that the generations that follow understand the core and the passion for what we all love so much, and however that falls into our lives. But I appreciate you guys would spend time with us tonight. And I was gonna, Dan, I don't want to cut out before letting you know, I almost went to college at Towson State in Baltimore. I was one of my two choices. Great college, some great folks. Ended up going down the street in Bridgeport, Connecticut, but love the Towson. I love that area.
I actually taught there, Keith, for a year.
Really? No kidding.
Yeah, great school.
Great school, man. Great area too. I like it a lot. So there you have it, folks. I hope that we will all get past this COVID-19 sooner than later. And I just so you know, I would, anytime you would like to come back and speak again with us and just have a discussion, you are more than welcome, because we are honored to have you here tonight for sure. Very much so.
It's an honor to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we will make sure that we put each individual, I said I'd put links to your lodges and to the certainly to osia.org. We'll make sure that all the information is there for people to follow up with rather. And Carolyn, as always, we thank you for being here. And it wasn't by accident that we have you placed right in the middle at the top.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you.
Tony, thanks for letting us have your lovely wife with us again to have the talk.
Yeah.
If you're listening back there.
He's in there. He's in the other room talking to his granddaughter.
Gotcha. All right. Well, again, we thank you.
Keep it alive. Yeah.
Yes, Carolyn, Edmondo, Dan, Mark, and Nick. As I said, it was an honor to have you here tonight, folks.
Thank you.
Thank
Keith.
you, Keith, very much.
You got it.
A pleasure.
All right. Again, this is Keith with Positively Osceola here with the sons and daughters of Italy in America, together making a positive difference in and around Osceola County. Have a great evening, everyone.